My grandfather laid the ultimate guilt trip on me, faking a heart attack to force me into marrying a woman 5 years my senior. I figured my life was basically over. On our wedding night, I was ready to lay down the law, to draw some boundaries and defend what little dignity I had left. Instead, she barely looked at me, tossed a black credit card on the table, and said in a voice as cold as ice, "Here's $100,000 a month for spending money. Stay out of my way." I looked at the card. I looked at her stunning, aloof face. And in that moment, I had an epiphany. Dignity? Who needs dignity? Honey, I thought, dropping to my knees in a perfect slide. How's this for staying out of your way? Chapter 1. My name is Leo Miller. I'm 22, fresh out of college, and my only real ambition in life is to become a professional slacker. But my grandpa, Joe, a stubborn old coot who's been known to flip the chessboard when he's losing a game of checkers in the park, decided my life needed more direction. So, he gave me a new direction I'd never forget. He was lying in a hospital bed, an oxygen mask fogging up with each breath, his hand clutching mine like a vice. "Leo, buddy, this is it for OL Grandpa Joe." Tears immediately sprang to my eyes. "Grandpa, don't say that. Just yesterday, you were arguing with Mr. Henderson about his illegal use of a king me. That was my last hurrah. A final burst of energy," he wheezed, pointing a shaky finger at a doctor standing nearby. "You asked Dr. Evans here. Am I not knocking on heaven's door?" Dr. Evans pushed his glasses up his nose, his expression grim. "Mr. Miller's condition is indeed fragile. It's a matter of the heart." I panicked. "What's wrong with his heart?" Grandpa Joe took a deep, dramatic breath, as if summoning his remaining life force. "My only regret, the one thing keeping me from the great beyond, is that I've never seen you settle down. I can't die in peace." I was floored. "Grandpa, I'm 22. I just barely meet the legal age to rent a car, let alone get married. Where am I supposed to find you a granddaughter-in-law?" "I found her for you." With a surprising burst of strength, Grandpa Joe whipped my birth certificate and social security card out from under his pillow and shoved them into my hand. "You remember my old army buddy, Mr. Chun? His granddaughter, Ava. I've already arranged it. 3 o'clock this afternoon. City Hall. Don't be late. Ava Chun." My mind screeched to a halt. I'd heard the name before. My grandpa's war buddy's granddaughter. Supposedly 5 years older than me. A total workaholic and still single. In my grandpa's world, a 27-year-old woman who wasn't married was practically a lost cause. He was clearly desperate, and he was about to throw me straight into the fire. "Grandpa, no. This is insane. You can't just arrange a marriage." At that, he ripped off the oxygen mask and sat bolt upright, looking healthier than I'd seen him in years. "Oh, so that's how it is. You've got your fancy college degree, and now you're too good for your old grandpa. You want me to die with regrets, is that it? Fine. I'll just die right now." He made a move as if to throw himself against the wall. Dr. Evans lunged, catching him in a bear hug. "Mr. Miller, calm down. Your blood pressure." I was completely and utterly defeated. Watching my grandpa's Oscar-worthy performance, I knew I was trapped. This wedding was happening, whether I liked it or not. At 2:50 p.m., clutching my documents like a man on his way to the gallows, I stood lifelessly in front of City Hall. In my head, I cursed the anonymous old maid I was about to be shackled to for the rest of my days. A sleek black Porsche Panamera pulled up silently to the curb. The door opened and a long, perfectly sculpted leg emerged, clad in a tailored pantsuit. A woman got out. She was tall, dressed in a sharp white blazer and matching pants. Her dark hair was pulled back in a severe bun, revealing a flawless brow and elegant collarbones. Her face was a mask of cool indifference, her eyes holding a chill that seemed to lower the temperature of the entire block. The air around her crackled with an intimidating power. I was frozen. This was the 27-year-old old maid. She had the face, the body, and the sheer presence of a movie star. She walked directly up to me and looked me over once. "Leo Miller?" Her voice was like the rest of her, cool, crisp, and devoid of warmth. I nodded dumbly. "You have your documents?" I handed them over like a robot. "Let's go. I have a conference call at 3:30, so let's make this quick." With that, she turned and walked into City Hall, the sharp click of her heels on the pavement sounding like a death knell for my freedom. I followed her, feeling less like I was getting married and more like I was signing my life away. The whole process was a blur. Photos, forms, a bored-looking clerk stamp. In less than 10 minutes, we were back outside, each holding a freshly printed marriage certificate. My hand clutched the document, but my brain was still offline. I was married? My life, my beautiful, lazy, ambition-free life, was over. A wave of despair washed over me. No, I couldn't just accept this fate. Even if we were married, I had to defend my last shred of dignity. Chapter 2. Ava Chen's home, or I guess, our new home, was in a luxury high-rise in the heart of downtown Chicago. It was a massive corner unit, decorated in a severe minimalist style of black, white, and gray. It felt less like a home and more like a high-end furniture showroom, completely devoid of any personal touch. She led me inside and pointed to a room next to the master suite. "That's your room." Then she gestured to the master bedroom. "This is mine. Don't come in unless it's an emergency." She was about to disappear in her room when I took a deep breath and stopped her. "Wait." She turned, her cool eyes tinged with a mix of confusion and impatience. "Is there something else?" This was it. The battle for my dignity began now. I cleared my throat and stood up straight. "Miss Chun, even though we're legally married, I think we need to establish some ground rules. I propose we agree to 3 conditions." Ava raised an eyebrow, a flicker of something like amusement in her eyes. She leaned against the doorframe, crossing her arms. The pose said, "Go on, impress me." Her stare was unnerving, but I pushed forward. "First, this is a marriage in name only, to satisfy our grandfathers. In private, we lead separate lives. You do you, I'll do me." Ava nodded, agreeing. That gave me a little more courage. "Second, we sleep in separate rooms. There will be absolutely no physical contact. And don't worry, I may be broke, but I have principles. I have no intention of taking advantage of you." The corner of her mouth twitched, so fast I thought I might have imagined it. Fine. Victory was within my grasp. I launched my final, most important point. "Third, finance. I know I just graduated and don't have a job yet, but I'll find one. I don't want any money. I can support myself. We'll go Dutch on everything." I finished, jutting my chin out like a proud rooster. I, Leo Miller, may have been forced into this, but I would not be a kept man. Ava stared at me, silent for a few long seconds. Then, she turned, went into her room, and came back out holding a sleek, black credit card. She held it out to me. "What's this?" I asked suspiciously. "It's a Centurion card." She said it with the same flat tone someone would use to say, "It's a piece of paper. There's not much on it for now. This should cover you for the month. 100,000 in spending money. The pin is your birthday. If you need more, let me know." My brain short-circuited. 100,000? Spending money? For the month? I looked at her completely straight face, then down at the card, which seemed to radiate the glorious scent of money. What had I just been saying? Principles? Dignity? Going Dutch? What were those things? Were they edible? Seeing my stunned silence, Ava pushed the card into my hand. "I only have one rule," she said, her gaze serious. "Don't bother me. My work is demanding, and I need quiet. As long as you keep to yourself, money is not an issue." And with that, she walked into her bedroom and shut the door with a soft click. I was left alone in the massive living room, clutching a thin piece of plastic that suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I looked down at the card. I looked up at the closed door. Behind that door was a beautiful, ridiculously wealthy woman who, on top of everything else, wanted nothing to do with me. It all became clear, utterly, beautifully clear. This wasn't the prison I had imagined. This was a VIP ticket to paradise. How foolish and childish had my earlier thoughts been? Dignity? Self-respect? In the face of a 6-figure monthly allowance, they were worthless. I immediately dropped into a slide on the polished floor, facing her bedroom door and shouting in my mind, "You're right, honey. I'll be as quiet as a mouse. I'll never bother you. Hey, honey, how was that slide? Need me to add a 360-degree spin to it?" From this day forward, I, Leo Miller, was a proud professional trophy husband. My new KPI was to keep my rich, beautiful wife happy by ensuring she could work in peace. My journey as a kept man had just begun. Chapter 3. On my first official day as a professional husband, I decided to set a small goal for myself, get acquainted with my new work environment. The apartment was too cold, too sterile. It didn't feel like a home at all. As the man of the house, self-appointed, I felt it was my duty to inject some warmth and personality into the place. Ava left for the office at the crack of dawn, muttering something about a board meeting that would last all day. This gave me the perfect window of opportunity. Armed with a black card, I marched into the city's most expensive shopping district like a conquering hero. The feeling of swiping that card was absolutely glorious. By the end of the afternoon, the card was practically hot to the touch. That evening, when Ava returned home, dragging her feet with exhaustion, she froze in the doorway, utterly stunned by the scene before her. The once monochromatic living room had exploded into a riot of color. The expensive abstract painting on the wall had been replaced by a giant, glittery, live, laugh, love sign. The minimalist throw pillows on the sofa were gone, replaced by life-sized anime character body pillows, all staring at her with wide, innocent eyes. In the center of the room now stood a 6-foot-tall, life-sized Iron Man statue, posed in its classic repulsor-blasting stance. At its feet, I had placed a large glass jar with a handwritten label, Trophy Husband Fund. On the entertainment center, her collection of rare vinyl records had been carefully stored away, replaced by the complete Blu-ray box set of SpongeBob SquarePants. The entire apartment had been transformed from the office of a high-powered CEO into the playroom of a hyperactive child with a corporate credit card. Ava stood motionless in the entryway. I could practically hear the strings of her sanity snapping one by one. I popped my head out from behind the sofa, a winning smile plastered on my face. "Honey, you're home." Surprise. She slowly turned her head, her gaze landing on me. There was no anger, no shock, just a profound, soul-deep numbness. She looked like a woman questioning her own existence. Who am I? Where am I? Why is this happening to me? What is all this? She finally asked, her voice sounding distant. I ran over to her like a proud puppy, pointing to the wall decor. This, live, laugh, love. Great motto, right? Inspiring. I then gestured grandly at Iron Man. And this, a superhero to protect our home. Look at the detail on the armor plating. Makes you feel safe, doesn't it? Finally, I pointed to the jar. That's my piggy bank. You know, for a rainy day. Ava was silent. A long, heavy silence. Just as I thought she was about to explode and throw me and all my new treasures out the window, she simply took a deep, shuddering breath and let it out slowly. She navigated around Iron Man, walked to the sofa, tossed an anime pillow aside with clear disgust, and sat down. She pinched the bridge of her nose and closed her eyes. Leo. Yes, honey. I'm here. How much did you spend today? My heart skipped a beat. Was she mad I'd spent too much? I cautiously mumbled a number. Not that much. Around 20,000. Ava opened her eyes and looked at me. Oh, and that was it. Oh, just oh. This was not the reaction I was expecting. A normal person would be screaming, calling me a wasteful idiot. Could it be that she actually liked my redecorating, but was just too shy to admit it? Yes, that had to be it. A classic ice queen like her wouldn't know how to express joy. Deep down, she was probably thrilled. Buoyed by this thought, I doubled down on my efforts. Honey, you must be exhausted. I drew a bath for you, 102 degrees, with lavender essential oils to help you sleep. Honey, what do you want for dinner? I ordered from that Michelin-starred Italian place downtown. It'll be here any minute. Honey, stop talking. She had reached her limit. I immediately shut my mouth. She looked at me, her expression a complex mix of emotions. I'm having second thoughts. About what? About the 100,000. She paused, then added, I should have given you more. I blinked. Perhaps, she said, studying me as if I were a bizarre science experiment. I should have given you 200,000. Then maybe you would have gone and decorated someone else's apartment. With that, she stood up and walked into her bedroom without a backward glance. I stood there trying to process her words. Was that a compliment on my destructive capabilities? It had to be. I, Leo Miller, was clearly a natural at this trophy husband thing. First day on the job, and I'd already exceeded my boss's expectations. The future was bright. Chapter 4. To better perform my duties as a professional husband, I decided I needed to conduct some in-depth research on my client. The next day, I was up bright and early. When Ava emerged from her room, She was greeted by a breakfast spread spanning 4 different cuisines: American, French, Japanese, and Mexican. And me, dressed in a butler-for-hire costume complete with white gloves, bowing at a 90-degree angle. "Good morning, my dearest, honey. Which continental breakfast experience shall you be gracing with your presence today?" Ava's expression was one of a person who had been struck by lightning twice. She silently picked up a piece of toast, took a single bite, walked around me, and left the apartment. I wasn't discouraged. She was just shy. The moment her car left the garage, I was on her tail. I had to perform some on-site reconnaissance of my wife's work environment. Ava's firm, Chun Architectural Group, was located in a glittering skyscraper in the Loop. She was a named partner at one of the top firms in the country. I managed to slip in by pretending to be a Postmates delivery guy. The entire office had the same vibe as Ava herself: cold, silent, and ruthlessly efficient. Everyone moved like a well-oiled machine. I found her corner office. The door was slightly ajar, and I peeked through the crack. She was in a meeting with several employees, her expression severe as she eviscerated a man in his late 30s over a set of blueprints. "This is a rookie mistake. Do you use your brain for anything other than taking up space in your skull? This design is garbage. Redo it, and nobody goes home until it's perfect." Her queen bee energy was so intense it made me shiver. So this is what my wife was like at work. Terrifying. Just then, a man in a flashy pink suit, carrying a bouquet of roses the size of a small shrub, sauntered up to Ava's office. He saw me lurking and frowned. "You, the delivery guy. What are you doing skulking around here?" Before I could answer, he pushed the door open and strutted inside. "Ava, my darling. Miss me?" The meeting came to an abrupt halt. When Ava saw him, her brow furrowed so deeply it could have crushed a bug. "Chadwick, what are you doing here? Get out." This guy, Chadwick, was clearly some trust fund kid who was completely immune to Ava's ice-cold demeanor. He offered her the flowers. "Ava, don't be like that. Let's get dinner tonight." "I'm busy. Come on. I just got a new Ferrari. I'll take you for a spin." I decided I'd seen enough. Who was this clown trying to move in on my territory? I mean, Ava. And I didn't have feelings for each other, but she was technically my wife. This guy was disrespecting me, the professional husband. It was time to show him my true power. I straightened my knockoff delivery guy polo and swaggered into the office. "Hey, honey, you in meeting?" I walked right up to Ava, casually draped an arm around her shoulder, and grabbed an apple from a fruit bowl on her desk, taking a loud, obnoxious bite. Every single person in the office stared at me, their jaws on the floor. Ava's entire body went rigid. She looked down at the hand on her shoulder, then up at me. The Arctic chill in her eyes could have turned the Sahara into an ice rink. Chadwick was just as stunned. "Ooh, who the hell are you? What did you just call her?" I gave him a dazzling, 8-toothed smile. "Me? I'm her husband. And you are?" "Husband?" Chadwick laughed as if I'd told the world's funniest joke. "Since when is Ava Chin married? Why wasn't I told?" He looked me up and down with disdain. "You? In that cheap outfit? You think you're good enough for Ava?" I sighed dramatically, looking at Ava with a pained expression. "See, honey, this is what happens when we try to be low-key. There's always some clueless jerk who judges a book by its cover." I pushed up my sleeve, revealing my bare wrist. "It's your fault, really. You insisted on buying me that Patek Philippe, but it's just too heavy. I left it at home today. Should have worn it just to blind guys like this." I delivered the lines with heartfelt sincerity, not a hint of a blush on my face. Chadwick was speechless. The other employees were speechless. All eyes turned to Ava. I could feel the muscles in her shoulder tightening under my arm. Her other hand, below the desk, was surely clenched into a white-knuckled fist. She was mentally debating the legal ramifications of committing murder in the workplace. But she couldn't lose her cool in front of her team. Her professional reputation was on the line. She had to swallow her rage. Taking a deep breath, she forced a smile that looked more like a grimace. "Chad, I forgot to introduce you. This is my husband, Leo." She then turned to me, her eyes sparkling with a terrifyingly gentle light, but her words were ground out from between her teeth. "Darling, didn't you say you had a call with those Saudi princes about the new skyscraper project today? What are you doing here?" Damn, she was good. A master improviser. Skyscraper project? She was a quick thinker. I immediately played along. "Oh, you know how it is. The sheik insisted we have drinks." I barely got away. I just missed you so much I had to come and see you. Then, in front of everyone, I leaned in and planted a loud, wet kiss on her cheek. Mwah! Ava's body turned to stone. Her eyes widened in pure horror. Chadwick's face went from pale to a sickly shade of green. He pointed at us, sputtering, unable to form a coherent sentence. I shot him a smug grin. Game, set, match. Chadwick finally stormed out in a huff. The other employees, sensing the impending doom, quickly and quietly excused themselves. The second the door closed, the gentle smile vanished from Ava's face, replaced by a Siberian winter storm. Leo. Yes, honey. Get your hand off my shoulder. She enunciated each word with deadly precision. I sheepishly retracted my arm. Who told you to come here? I came to bring you a special lunch, I said, thinking fast. And where's this lunch? A Godzilla probably stole on my way over. Ava closed her eyes and began taking those deep breaths again. I could feel her weighing her options. Strangle me now or strangle me later at home. After a long moment, she opened her eyes. Get out. Okay. Wait. She stopped me again. That card. Give it to me. My blood ran cold. This was it. She was cutting off my funding. With the grim acceptance of a condemned man, I handed it over. She took the card, walked to her desk, pulled out her wallet, and took out another card. It was a different shade of black. She handed it to me. This one has no limit. She paused, looking at me with an expression of pure, unadulterated desperation. I'm begging you. Go shopping. Take a trip. Buy an island. I don't care what you do. Just please do not ever come within a 5-mile radius of my office again. I stood there, holding the unlimited black card, overcome with emotion. I wasn't her husband. I was her gremlin, a chaotic creature she had to pay to keep locked away, a problem she could only solve by throwing money at it. Chapter 5. Armed with a credit card that had no limit, I felt like I had reached the pinnacle of human existence. But with great power comes great emptiness. My days became a blur of spending money. This simple, unadorned lifestyle was starting to feel boring. I needed a project, a career befitting my status as the husband of a billionaire. And so, on one sunny afternoon, I made a decision that would change my life forever. I spent $1 million to acquire a nearly bankrupt alpaca farm. When I broke the news to Ava, she was drinking a glass of water. She did a spit take that sprayed across the entire kitchen island. It was the first time I had ever seen her lose her composure. You what? You bought a what? An alpaca farm, I announced excitedly. It's out in the countryside, beautiful scenery, fresh air, and it comes with over 50 adorable alpacas. Ava stared at me as if I had just sprouted a second head. Leo, what is going on inside your brain? You spent $1 million on a herd of overgrown llamas. They're alpacas, a gentle and noble species. I corrected her. Honey, you don't get it. This is the next big thing. People are so stressed out these days, burned out from the corporate grind. They need something to heal their souls. And alpacas are fuzzy, four-legged therapists. Imagine those poor office workers, crushed by hustle culture, seeing a field of cute alpacas. Their minds will be blown. Ava put her head in her hands, looking like she could feel her blood pressure skyrocketing. So, your business plan is people will pay to look at your alpacas? That's just the start. I snapped my fingers. We could do alpaca rentals, corporate events, shopping mall openings. We'll rent them out to draw a crowd. We can even do a 24/7 live stream of the alpacas eating. It'll be a viral sensation. Ava clearly didn't want to talk about it anymore. She waved a dismissive hand. Do whatever you want. Just try not to lose everything. I felt she was underestimating me. Leo Miller, business prodigy? I couldn't possibly fail. Reality, however, hit me like a ton of bricks. Once I took over the farm, I realized it was a total money pit. The alpacas were skinny and listless, and the facilities were falling apart. More importantly, nobody knew the place existed. On opening day, the only visitors were me and a few crickets. It was just me and 50 alpacas staring at each other. I sat on a fence post, watching the sunset, deep in thought. Was my brilliant business career over before it had even begun? No, I couldn't give up. An idea began to form. Traditional marketing wasn't working. I needed to think outside the box. I pulled out my phone and created a new TikTok account. The username, I kept minting his alpacas. Then I filmed my first video. In it, I wore a ripped tank top and a pair of old flip-flops, sitting melancholically among the alpacas. I set it to a sad, instrumental track. The caption read, "She said she loved me, but in the end, she only gave me $1 million and told me to get lost with my new friends. I guess this is goodbye." Heartbroken sugar mama divorce, the video exploded. The comments poured in. $1 million? Bro, where do I find a woman like that? I'll get lost for her RN. The humble brag is strong with this one. Don't be sad, man. You still have 50 fluffy bros who love you. I seized the momentum and started a series. The next day, I posted, "She sent a Lamborghini to try and win me back, but all I ever wanted was her love." I threw the keys in the alpaca feed trough. Love hurts money as skin. The day after, her rich ex-boyfriend flew his helicopter over my farm to mock me. So, I had my alpaca squad spit on it. Squad Goals Alpaca Life, my account, in the most ridiculous way possible, went viral. Millions of people tuned in every day, eagerly awaiting the next chapter in the dramatic saga of me, my mysterious sugar mama, and my army of alpacas. My farm became a viral tourist destination. People drove for hours to the remote countryside just to see the celebrity alpacas and offer their condolences to me, the poor man who had been so deeply wounded by money. My alpaca rental business boomed. I was booked solid for the next year. The money started rolling in. In just 1 month, I had not only made back my initial investment, but had cleared a net profit of over $500,000. When I placed a bank statement showing the $500,000 profit in front of Ava, she once again lapsed into a long, profound silence. She looked at the paper, then at me, her eyes filled with a deep suspicion of the world we lived in. "You made $500,000 with those alpacas?" "Yep," I said, puffing out my chest. "Pretty good, right? Told you I was a business genius." Ava didn't say anything. She picked up her phone, opened TikTok, and found my account, which now had millions of followers. She clicked on my most recent video. In it, I was hugging an alpaca, fake sobbing my heart out. What if she doesn't love me anymore, buddy? It's been 3 whole days since her last wire transfer. Ava's face darkened to the color of thunderclouds. She looked up, her gaze pinning me to the wall, and asked in a low, dangerous voice, "Leo, in your eyes, am I nothing more than a walking, talking ATM?" My heart stopped. Oops, I may have gone too far. Chapter 6, Facing Ava's Death Stare. My survival instincts went into overdrive. "Honey, let me explain. It's all for show. It's performance art." I swore on my life. "To me, you are not an ATM. You are my sun, my moon, my stars." Ava's expression remained flat. "So, when I don't wire you money for 3 days, your universe collapses?" No. I waved my hands frantically. "That was my mistake. I completely misinterpreted your brand ethos. I'll delete the videos right now. I'll shut down the account." "Don't bother," Ava said coolly. "It's interesting." "Huh, I was confused. I watched some of your videos," she admitted, taking a sip of water. "They're incredibly stupid, but I'll admit, they're a decent stress reliever." I couldn't believe my ears. Was that a compliment? "So you're not mad?" She shot me a sidelong glance. "Why would I be mad? You're making your own money. That's a good thing." She paused. "Besides, I heard you rented 20 alpacas to serve as greeters for Chadwick Kensington's corporate gala. I found that particularly inspired." Now I remembered. A huge order had come in from Kensington Corporation. I hadn't made the connection at the time. The mental image of Chad and his stuffy executives being spat on by a welcoming committee of 20 alpacas made me grin. However, Ava's tone shifted. "Now that you're financially independent, I assume I can take back the unlimited credit card?" My smile froze on my face. "No, wait, honey. It's not the same. The money I make is business, but the money you give me is love. Without your love, my business has no meaning." The corner of Ava's mouth finally, for the first time, curled into a genuine, tiny smile. It was gone in a flash, but I saw it. My wife. She smiled. She was capable of smiling. It was like discovering a new law of physics. From that day on, I noticed a subtle shift in Ava. She no longer treated me like a piece of inconvenient furniture. Occasionally, she'd ask about the alpaca farm. I even caught her, I think, smirking at one of my dumb TikTok videos. The icy atmosphere between us began to thaw. My business, meanwhile, was on fire. Alpaca Paradise became the hottest tourist trap in the state. I even launched a line of merchandise: plush alpaca toys, alpaca wool scarves, and premium alpaca manure fertilizer. All of it sold out. I, Leo Miller, had transformed from a kept man into the undisputed alpaca king. But success breeds jealousy. One day, I was at the farm teaching my alpaca crew a new viral TikTok dance when Chadwick Kensington and a few of his cronies stormed onto the property. "Miller, get your butt out here." I knew immediately this was trouble. I patted my lead alpaca, Alpacasino, on the neck. "All right, boys, battle stations." The herd immediately snapped into formation, their mouths puckering as they prepared their saliva-based artillery. The sight made Chadwick take a step back. What do you think you're doing? I'm here to talk business." "What business?" "Sell me this stupid farm," he said with a sneer. "I'll give you $2 million for it." I laughed. "Chad, didn't alpaca kick you in the head? I'll make more than that in a few months. Why would I sell?" His face darkened. "Don't be an idiot, Miller. I have inside information. The county is about to seize this entire area to build a new tech campus. In a few months, this land will be worthless, and you'll get nothing." My heart sank. How did I not know about this? "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Chad scoffed, pulling a document from his briefcase. "See for yourself. This is from a source inside the Planning Commission. The official announcement is a month away. I'm doing you a favor, offering you $2 million. It's more than you deserve." I looked at the documents. It all looked terrifyingly official. My entire enterprise was on the verge of being wiped out. "So, what's it going to be?" Chad gloated. "This is a one-time offer." I was torn. Just then my phone rang. It was Ava. I walked a few paces away to answer. "Hey, honey, where are you?" "At the farm. We have a situation." There was a pause on the other end. "Chadwick is there, isn't he?" I was stunned. "How did you know?" "Because," she said, her voice as calm and steady as ever, "I'm the lead architect on the new South Chicago Tech Park project. The rezoning proposal was my design." I was completely and utterly floored. "The parcel of land your farm is on," she continued, "is not part of the eminent domain seizure. In fact, it's designated as the project's sole permanent green space and ecological preserve." My brain slowly processed this. The document Chadwick has is a 3-month-old preliminary draft. His plan was probably to buy your land cheap and then sell it to the development committee at an inflated price. For the first time, I detected a faint note of mockery in her voice. What he doesn't know is that the final master plan was approved yesterday. I hung up the phone and looked at the arrogant fool in front of me as if seeing him for the first time. I walked back over and handed him his document. "Thanks for the generous offer, Chad, but the farm's not for sale." He sputtered. "You'll regret this." "Will I?" I smiled. "I think you're the one who's about to have some regrets." I pulled out my phone, opened the file Ava had just sent me, and showed it to him. "Here's the final master plan for the tech park. Hot off the press." Chadwick snatched the phone. As he scanned the screen, his face went white as a sheet. He pointed a trembling finger at the area clearly marked Alpaca Paradise Ecological Preserve. This can't be real. It's a fake. I guess you'll find out in a month, won't you?" I patted his shoulder condescendingly. "Next time you try to pull a fast one, Chad, you should make sure your information is up to date." Chadwick and his goons staggered away, defeated. Watching him go, I felt a new kind of admiration for Ava, something beyond her wealth. My wife was a whole lot more brilliant than I ever realized. Chapter 7, The Incident with Chad, taught me a valuable lesson. Being a trophy husband was a delicate art. To secure my position for the long haul, I needed to fully embed myself into my benefactor's life and make her happy to have me there. I decided on a full-scale infiltration of my wife's personal life, starting with her stomach. I gave our private chef a paid vacation and took over the kitchen myself. Thanks to my mom's lifelong training regimen, born from her fear that I'd be single forever and starve, my cooking skills were more than decent. On the first night, I made a 4-course meal. When Ava came home to a table laden with hot food, she froze in surprise. She sat down silently, picked up her fork, and tried a bite. Then, without a word, she ate everything on her plate. The next night, I made a seafood feast. Again, she polished it off in silence. On the third night, I made her favorite spicy hot pot. As the fragrant steam filled the kitchen, she finally spoke. Leo, you don't have to do this. Do what? Try to please me. Her expression was complicated. This is just a contract. Says who? I retorted. We have a marriage certificate. We're legally husband and wife. It's my duty to cook for you. I placed a perfectly cooked piece of brisket in her bowl. Besides, I'm not trying to please you. I'm worried about you. You work so hard all day, you shouldn't have to come home to a cold, empty house. Ava didn't respond. She just lowered her head and quietly ate the brisket. But I saw it. The tips of her ears were turning pink. Next, I moved on to our living space. I moved the Iron Man statue to the most prominent spot in the living room, declaring him the official guardian of our home. I started a small herb garden on the balcony, claiming it was to embrace a rustic lifestyle and soothe the soul. I also adopted a cat, a fat, lazy orange tabby, to bring a little more life into the apartment. Ava's reaction to these changes evolved from initial annoyance to weary resignation and finally to acceptance. Now, when she comes home from work, she'll give our man a little nod, check on the progress of my basil plants, and then scoop up the cat, whom I named Mr. Wonderful, and curl up on the sofa to watch TV. She never says anything, but I know this cold, sterile apartment is slowly, piece by piece, becoming a warm home because of me. Our relationship was changing in subtle ways, too. One night, I had to entertain some clients for the alpaca farm and had a little too much to drink. I stumbled home late, drunk and disheveled. The first thing I saw was Ava sitting on the living room sofa in her pajamas. The TV was on, but she wasn't watching it. She was waiting for me. She frowned when she saw me. Why did you drink so much? Celebrating, I slurred, fumbling with my keys. Signed a huge new contract today. She came over and helped me stay upright, her frown deepening as she smelled the alcohol on my breath. She didn't scold me. She just silently guided me to the sofa, then went to the kitchen and came back with a glass of water and some aspirin. Watching her take care of me, a warm feeling spread through my chest. Fueled by liquid courage, I grabbed her hand. Honey, her hand was cool to the touch. It flinched in my grasp, and she tried to pull it away, but I held on tight. Honey, you're the best, I said with a goofy, drunken grin. She looked at me, her gaze flickering, but she didn't say anything. Everyone says I'm a gold digger, that I'm just living off you. I rambled, the words tumbling out. But I don't care. Being your kept man is the luckiest thing that's ever happened to me. The soft light of the living room lamp softened the sharp angles of her face, making her look almost gentle. She just watched me quietly, listening to my nonsense. I don't remember much else of what I said. Just that, right before I passed out, I thought I heard her whisper very softly right next to my ear, "You idiot." The next morning, I woke up in my own bed with a splitting headache. The events of last night were a fuzzy, embarrassing blur. I walked out of my room and saw Ava, dressed for work and ready to leave. She looked a little flustered when she saw me. "You're awake. There's coffee in the kitchen." "Thanks," I mumbled, feeling an awkward tension in the air. Just as she was about to walk out the door, a sudden impulse made me ask, "Hey, honey, I didn't say anything stupid last night, did I?" She paused at the door. Without turning around, she said quietly, "You did." My heart sank. "You said," she continued, "that the luckiest thing that ever happened to you was marrying me." And with that, she opened the door and left. I stood there, alone in the apartment, my heart hammering against my ribs. Chapter 8. After my drunken confession, the unspoken barrier between Ava and me had been cracked wide open. Though neither of us mentioned it again, things were different. For one, she started managing my life. "Leo, you can't eat that much junk food. Leo, you need to be in bed by 11 on weeknights. Leo, that new TikTok dance you posted is embarrassing. Take it down." I complained, "Honey, you're not my mom," but on the inside I was beaming. This wasn't nagging. This was caring. She also started bringing me to important events, not just as a prop to keep her family happy, but as her actual partner. One evening, she had to attend a major architectural awards gala. A museum she had designed was nominated for the year's top prize. The night before, she tossed a garment bag on my bed. "Wear this tomorrow." Inside was a designer tuxedo that probably cost more than my college tuition. I was floored. "Honey, are you sure you want to be seen in public with me?" She rolled her eyes. "Just wear it, Leo." The gala was a sea of black ties and evening gowns, filled with the biggest names in the industry. Dressed in the tux Ava gave me, I felt less like a slacker and more like a prince consort, trailing in the wake of my queen. Many people shot me curious looks. To each of them, Ava introduced me with a simple, confident, "This is my husband, Leo." The casual ownership in her voice sent a thrill of pride through me. Chadwick Kensington was there, of course. He saw us together, and his eyes burned with resentment. He sidled over, a glass of champagne in his hand. Well, if it isn't Leo Miller," he sneered. "I hear the alpaca business is booming. Decided to take a night off from shoveling manure to play the part of the dutiful husband?" Before I could say a word, Ava's face went cold. "Watch your mouth, Chadwick. Did I say something untrue?" he shot back. "Honestly, Ava, I don't know what you see in him. A kept man who lives off your money. Aren't you embarrassed to bring him to a place like this? Whether he is or not is none of your business." Ava took a step forward, positioning herself slightly in front of me. Her small frame seemed to radiate a protective energy. "What I do know is that he is my husband, and when you insult him, you insult me." I looked at her back, a wave of warmth washing over me. Chadwick was speechless, his face turning a blotchy red. "Fine. Have it your way, Ava. We'll see how long this lasts." He put his glass down with a thud and stormed off. I peeked out from behind her. "Honey, that was so cool." She turned and glared at me. "Be quiet and stand up straight. You're slouching and it's embarrassing." But I saw it. The tips of her ears were bright red. As expected, Ava won the award for Design of the Year. She stood on the stage, bathed in spotlights, so brilliant it was hard to look away. She gave her acceptance speech, thanking the judges and her team. Then at the very end, her eyes scanned the crowd and found mine. "Finally," she said, her voice clear and strong, "I have one more person to thank. My husband, Leo. He was the one who brought a ray of light into my cold, structured world. He taught me that great design isn't just about lines and materials. It's about the warmth of a home." A murmur went through the audience. Every head turned to stare at me. I stood there, looking up at her on the stage, feeling like my heart was going to beat its way out of my chest. On the drive home, the car was quiet. I snuck a glance at her, only to find she was already looking at me. Our eyes met, and the air between us felt charged. "Honey," I finally worked up the nerve to speak. "What you said on stage, did you mean it?" She didn't answer directly. Instead, she asked, "What you said the other night, when you were drunk, did you mean it?" I nodded without hesitation. Every word. She stared at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, she leaned towards me. Before I could process what was happening, a soft, cool pressure landed on my lips. My brain went completely blank. Outside the car window, the city lights blurred into streaks of color, like a beautiful, abstract dream. The kiss was gentle and brief. She pulled back and sat upright, a faint blush on her cheeks, though she tried to maintain her composure. "Consider it a bonus for your recent performance." I touched my lips, a goofy grin spreading across my face. "Honey, can I apply for a repeat bonus?" My answer was a light, embarrassed punch on the arm. And I understood. Our marriage contract, from that moment on, was officially null and void. Because somewhere along the way, we had both started to believe it was real.